Good morning, dear students. Myself Kapil Ramani, TGT Social Science, Zeni Durgapur, Paschim Bardhaman, West Bengal. Dear students, I am, as I told you, I am a social science teacher. So today I will teach you class 8 history book, the chapter 6, that is weavers, iron smelters and factory owners. The students, so let's start. This is our chapter, that is chapter 6, weavers, iron smelters and factory owners. Okay, dear students, this is one of the most important chapter of the book and also very interesting chapter. So try to understand the chapter. Yes, the students, as you know, as you have read in your previous classes, in your previous chapters, Britishers came India to do business, to do trade, but due to various reasons, they interfered in our all sections of life. First of all, they interfered in the field of our kings, then in our countryside, village area, then in forest. So they interfered in our all sections of life. Listen carefully. In this chapter, we will discuss that how the Britishers interfered in the life of weavers, iron smelters, and factory owners. What happened? What happened after the coming of Britishers in the life of the weavers, our weavers, and the local iron smelters? We will discuss. Okay, students. After the arrival of Britishers, due to various reasons, they interfered in all fields of our life. Like first, they changed the status of kings, as I have told you. Then countryside, then our forest areas. They introduced so many rules and regulations related to the all sections of life. They introduced so many rules and regulations, as you already studied in your previous classes. In countryside chapters, you have listened, you have understand that various type of land settlement policies with our kings. They also introduced different type of policies like subsidiary alliance, like doctrine of lapse. In every field of life, they interfered in Indian life. So yes, listen carefully. Dear students, I have told you that our chapter name of the chapter is weavers, iron smelters, factory owners. But to study with difference means to study in easy way, I have divided this chapter into two parts. First, in first part, today I am going to teach you first part. In first part, we will discuss about only weavers and some factory owners. And next part, we will discuss about the iron smelters. Listen. To understand the chapter's better way, I divide chapter into two parts. First part, weavers, and second part of the smelters, and smelters and factory owners. Okay? Yes. Listen carefully, students. Now, I am going to start the chapter. It is very important chapter. Listen carefully what is written here. You can see here, there is a map. What is this? The map is that here we can see the trade routes from India to different part of the world. Trade routes. Listen carefully. Around 750, in this part, we are going to discuss about the Indian textile and the world market. Means how the Indian textile was dominated to the world market. Means what was the role, what was the importance of Indian textile in the world market? That is going to be discussed now. Around 750, before the Britishers conquered Bengal, India was by far world's largest producer of cotton textiles. Means before the arrival of Britishers, the textile of India was dominated. Supply of the Indian textile was to the all over world. Indian textiles had long been renowned both for their fine quality and as a big craftsmanship. Means the design was very intricate and as well as the quality was very fine. Indian textile quality was very fine, so its demand was very huge in the world market. They were extensively traded in Southeast Asia From India, Southeast Asia, these are the countries, Southeast Asian countries. Here also, and in this area, European market also, the supply was supplied, the production, the textile was supplied to the all over the world, not only in the European market, but also in the Southeastern countries, Southeastern. Yes, and West Central Asia. From the 16th century, European trading companies began buying Indian textiles for sale in Europe. From 16th century, European companies like British East India Company, like French East India Company, like Dutch, like Portuguese, so many European companies came to India and they started to buy, they started to trade of textiles from India to the world market. Okay, now next point, that is variety of Indian textile and its history name. From India, there were so many varieties of the textiles produced in India. So we will not discuss all the things, but especially we taken 3-4 items, 3-4 names of textiles, and we will discuss that how these are important. Means how they get the name, how the textile get the name, the different name. Listen carefully. The first one is muslin. Muslin. You can see this is a variety. This is a design of muslin cloth. Muslin. Listen carefully. What is how muslin got their name? European traders first encountered the fine cotton cloth from India carried to Arab merchants in Mosul in present Iraq. As I have told you, dear students, this is our trade route, and from India, and these are the areas of Middle East. So from India, the Iraq, the Middle East, the merchants of Iran, Iraq, they came here and traded to the area of Middle East. And from Middle East, Britishers or Europeans came to purchase the things. Okay, so cloth merchants, Arabian cloth merchants in Mosul, they sold Indian goods in textiles in the market of Iraq. That is known, the place was known as the Mosul. European get the things from the Mosul. So they began referring to all finally woven textile as muslin. So they began to give the name all the textiles from Mosul as muslin, all the Indian goods. Okay. Now second point is calico. Calico. Its name is also very interesting. Listen. When the Portuguese first came to India in search of spices, they landed in Calicut. We know that. Vasco da Gama came India. He was a Portuguese, and he came India. In India, they landed in the area of Kerala, that is Calicut. It is named Calicut. And why they came? In search of spices. That is written here. When the Portuguese first came to India in search of spices, they landed in Calicut on the Kerala coast. The cotton textile which they took back to Europe along with the spices came to be called calico. And along with the spices, they took cotton textiles from India to the European market, and these textiles were referred as calico. It is also very interesting name. Third point is chhij. Chhij is a name, came from Hindi word that is chheet. In Hindi, there is a word that is chheet. Chheet means a floral, small floral design is known as chheet. It is derived from the Hindi word chheet, a cloth with a small, colorful floral design. You can see here, this is a chheet design. You can see here small designs of the floral design. And next is bandana. Bandana is also derived from a Hindi word that is known as bandhana. Bandhana is a word here. The term derived from the word bandhana. Hindi means time. Bandhana means time. And its process of production was the tying and dyeing method. After tying, this cloth can be dyed, and different type of design came due to the process of tying and dyeing. So this design of cloth is known as bandana. Okay. So, these students, we have seen how the Indian variety of textiles got their name. Okay. Now our next point is Indian textile in European market. The students, In this section, in this part, we will see that how the Indian textile was important in European market. Listen carefully. What is written here? By 18th century, worldwide popularity of Indian textiles, wool and silk market makers in England began protesting against the import of Indian cotton textile. In 1720, the British government enacted a Legislation Act. The students, when Indian goods supplied to the European market as well as England, the producer of England who also engaged in the production of textile. Okay, they were very worried as the demand of Indian textiles was very huge in England. So the British goods have to face a very stiff competition with Indian goods. So they tried to force the government, England government, to enact a bill to suppress the Indian goods in England. So the act was known as Calico Act. Okay. In 72, the British government enacted a legislation banning the use of printed cotton. Printed cotton means from India. Textile changed in England. Changed the use of The British government enacted legislation banning the use of printed cotton textile in England. Interestingly, this act was known as Calico Act. This act was known as Calico Act, which was enacted in 1720 in England. And what was the act? To ban the use of Indian textile, that is changed. To ban the change, they enacted a law that law is known as Calico Act. Okay, next point. Competition with Indian textiles also led a search for technological innovations. Due to competition with Indian goods, they tried to improve the quality of their own goods. So they also tried to innovate. They try to improve themselves. So they introduced things like spinning jenny. Spinning jenny was invented to increase the quality of the goods, and the productivity national spindles, invention of steam engines was done by various small and big type of innovations also introduced by the Britishers to compete with the Indian goods. However, next point is, Indian textiles continued to dominate world trade till the end of the 18th century. So many rules, regulations, so many innovations also introduced by Britishers, though Indian textile market was very fast in England. Okay, but as you know, the English East India Company gained political power in Bengal. Is no longer had to import precious metals to buy Indian goods. It is also a different thing. Different thing means after the Battle of Plassey, you know, Britishers gained political power in India, and then they also gained the tax collections power in India. Now, to purchase Indian goods, they had not to bring the precious metal from England, while they collect the taxes from India, from Bengal, and that amount of collection was also used to purchase the things. So due to this, their market was very changed. Now we have the next point, that is who were the weavers. Weavers means who the people who involved in the weaving. The working of these people is weaving. Listen carefully, who are the weavers. In this section we will learn about the different communities of the weaver. Weavers often belong to communities that specialize in weaving. Weaver is a community which is specialized in weaving. Their skills means weaving means producing the clothes. Their skills were passed on from one generation to the next generation. Weavers' skills were passed from one generation, means it is a traditional business, traditional work of the weavers. Some communities were given, the name of some communities were given here. The Tati is a community of weaver of West Bengal. Tati weavers of Bengal. The Julahas and the Momins were weavers of North India. Shale and Koikara and the Diwans of South India are some of the communities famous for weaving. These are some communities like Julahas, Mobil, Saleh, Kokla, Devang. These are some communities who belong to various part of India. These are communities of weavers. Okay. Now next point. Now next point is the decline of Indian textiles. We are seeing that after arrival of Britishers, after arrival of different companies, they introduced different type of rules regulations in England to ban the Indian goods. Now they also in England there was industrial revolution. So many new innovations, so many new inventions were also introduced there. So there are variety of reasons to decline of the Indian textile market in England as well as in India. So listen carefully. Our next point: the great decline of Indian textile. The development of cotton industries in Britain affected textile producers in India in several ways. In various ways. Cotton industries in Britain, the development of cotton industries in England affected Indian market. Okay, how? First, Indian textile now has to compete with British textiles in European and American markets. Before industrial revolution, before the development of British textile industries in England, the market of Indian textile was huge and monopoly. We can say the Indian market was under the monopoly of Indian producers or the merchants. But now there was a competition. There is a competition with British products. Now in the market of Europe as well as the market of America, there was a stiff competition between the England things and Indian goods. So there is a market competition. Second one, exporting textiles to England also become increasingly difficult since very high duties are imposed on Indian textiles imported into Britain. In England, to give the benefits of their own industries, to give the we can say power, boost up to their own industries, Britishers introduced different rules to ban the Indian goods, Indian things. They imposed heavy import duty, custom duty on Indian goods. Also, they give different type of subsidies to their own industry. So it is very difficult to export Indian goods to England as there was a very high custom duty or import duty. So, by the beginning of 19th century, English made cotton textile successfully ousted Indian goods from their traditional market in Africa, America and Europe. Thousands of weavers in India, due to various reasons, English cotton textile market successfully ousted Indian goods from traditional market Africa. Thousands of weavers in India were now thrown. So many weavers who were engaged in textile industries, they were thrown by such type of situations. And the Bengal weavers were the worst hit. Okay. Now, same the next point, our decline of Indian textile. Next point. But the worst one is still to come. We have seen that there were so many problems like increasing the import duty, giving the subsidies to the English industries. There was a competition among English goods, Indian goods. There was a market. Indian goods were out of market. So many problems. But the worst one is still to come. What? By 1880s, British cotton clothes flooded Indian markets. Now, before this, the competitions, the problems were with only the international market. But after the 1830s, British goods came to India and flooded the market of India. Now, the Indian textile market, Indian textile producers have to face various type of problems. They have to face in the international market as well as in the domestic market, because domestic market means Indian market was also flooded with the British goods. Okay. In fact, by the 80s, 2/3 of all the cotton clothes worn by Indians were made of cloth production in Britain. This affected not only specialist weavers but also spinners. All the people who were involved in textile industries, all the people were affected by such type of situations. Thousands of rural women were made a living by spinning cotton thread were rendered jobless. Okay. Now, next point is cotton mill come up. Now, one more problem is there. One more problem is there. Listen carefully. So many problems. First problem was different type of textile, or we can say cotton, or we can say different type of act introduced in England to ban the Indian goods, like Calico Act. In England, there was industrial revolution. In England, there were small innovations. In England, in European markets, there was a competition with Indian goods to the British goods. And now in India, the goods came from England, so competitions with the English goods in India also. Now next point is, now industry is set up in India also. So there is another problem. Listen carefully. By first cotton mill in India was set up as spinning mill in Bombay. 1854. In 1854, a spinning mill was set up. In 900 or 84 mills started operating in Bombay. Many of these were established by Parsi Gujarati businessmen who had made their money through trade with China. Mills came up in other cities too. Means in India, various parts, or we can say all important cities were, in all important cities, the textile industries were set up. Okay. The first mill in Ahmedabad, 1861, a year later, a mill was established in Kanpur, Uttarakhand province. Growth of cotton mills led to demand of labor. There are so many benefits also to establishing. Due to establishment of such type of industries, there was also benefit. Like there were growth of demand. Thousands of poor peasants, artisans, agricultural laborers moved to cities to work in the mills. Means so many people, so many Indians also got the job in such type of industries, such type of factories. So there was also benefits, but the main affected, the worst affected area, the worst affected people were the weavers, or the people who were engaged in the textile market, textile industries. Second point is development of Indian cotton mills. Indian cotton mills, how they developed, mills have they faced any type of problems in establishing their industries in India? Because why this is question? Because in India there was the rulers. There was rulers in India were the Britishers. Okay. In the first few decades of its existence, the textile factory industries in India faced many problems. Yes, there was so many problems. The textile industries of India also faced so many problems. It found it difficult to compete with cheap textile imports from Britain. From Britain, the things that came in India, they were very cheap and quality also good. So, Indian industries, Indian textile, Indian factory productions have to face the competitions with the English good. In most countries, governments supported industrialization by imposing heavy duties on import. We know that in England, English governments imposed heavy duty on Indian goods. Why? To give the benefit, to give the boost up to their own industries. But such type of benefits didn't get the Indian industries. Why? Because the rulers were the Britishers. This eliminated competitions and protected infant industries. The colonial government in India usually refused such protection to local industries. Indian and local industries didn't get any type of protection from the British government. But the first major spot in the development of cotton products in India, therefore, was during the First World War. But the situation is changed in the time of First World War. Okay? But due to First World War, the trade route from England or from Europe to India was disturbed due to First World War of India. So Indian industries got the opportunity to develop. Okay? During the First World War, woven textile imports from Britain declined and Indian factories were called upon to produce clothes for military. There were two types of benefits. There were dual benefits. First, the import came from England was disturbed, as well as Indian industries got the tender, got the contract to produce military goods as the World War were continues. Okay. So, the students, in this way, our first part is finished. The first part about the weavers is finished. Now we have the recapitulation, which we will revise the chapter once. What we have studied in this chapter first. British people by introduced various policies interfering in all sections of life. We know that Britishers introduced various type of policies and interfered our whole life of all type of people. Second, they also changed the life of weavers and smelters. Yes, we have discussed it. There is a huge demand of various types of textile of India in whole world. We know that there was a demand of Indian textiles to the whole of the world. Fourth point, these textiles had their own history and the textile, the variety of clothes have their history with their name. Yeah, we have discussed it. We also discussed about the importance of Indian textile in European markets. We also discussed what was the importance of Indian textiles in the international market. The conditions of types of weavers. We also discussed what was the condition of the weavers and what were the types, how many names, how many types of weavers found in our country, India. And next point was the causes of declination of Indian textile. What were the causes of declination of Indian textile? And the last point was the effect on weavers. Effect on weavers after coming of new factories in India. After coming of the factories, what were the effects of the weavers? We have discussed already in these sections. The students, these are some questions. You write down on the notebook and try to do it. The question is very simple. What is jamdani? What is bandana? What kinds of clothes we have marketed in Europe? Such type of questions given here. You write down it and try to solve it. It is very simple. All the answers you can get from the book. Okay, the students. So, the students, in this way, we have our chapter. Our first part of this chapter is finished, and we will meet very soon in our next part. And next part we will discuss about the iron smelters especially. Okay. So, thank you. Thanks a lot.